Hello again, Struckweb. Today I'd like to share with you some hints, tips and knowledge about Minecraft dungeons under the form of a beginner's newbies guide that hopefully would help some of you out there. Keep in mind that the game is new and there's still a lot to find out about it, and if I find more stuff I would make part 2 and rename this to part 1, but for now this is the one beginner's guide I'm making. Maybe more would be added later. So without further ado, let's move on to the first part, which would be me talking about the weapons, enchantments on those, and synergies between the different enchantments and different items and things like those. So the first thing I would like to talk about is how the item and skills system and artifact system tie together and work. First of all, on each item you can have up to 3 enchant slots, and each enchant slot can have up to 3 different choices to select from. Those choices can be either a common or a powerful. A common one would cost 1 point for the tier 1 upgrade, tier 2 costs 2 points, tier 3 costs 3 points, which means altogether you're paying 1 plus 2 plus 3, which of course is 6. And then the other one, this one costs 2 points plus 3 points plus 4 points, which would be 9 points altogether. Which means if you have 3 powerful ones, you would have to pay 3 times 9 points to max out the item. So keep in mind that it's gonna be rare for an item to drop with the right enchantment slots you want on the right base, so you might have to farm for some min-maxing or sacrifice something that you may have wanted for your build for something else until you find the right item, but it will take a while, and that's where the wood chase comes. The highest item power level apparently seems to be 108. And from what I've noticed is item power doesn't really change what I get from gambling, because I've tried equipping items that are worth like 20 item power, and I've tried equipping items that are worth like 50-60 item power or 70, and I've been getting kind of the same bracket of items. So I think what decides that might be either the progression in your story, or what I think is the deciding factor is your player level. Your player level should or the host player level, if you're joined in another person's game, should decide the wood that you're getting. So let's quickly show you what happens when you upgrade the item and when you salvage an item. Let's just select this 1, 2, 3. You upgraded 1 powerful ability. Let's upgrade 1 common ability. And then let's say we don't need those and we want to salvage them because we're done with it. You salvage it, you get back all enchantment points invested, and you get the value of emeralds of the item. So you click salvage, and there you go, you get the emeralds. Speaking of emeralds, please consider that those would be very valuable at high level when you're trying to get the max item power level items, so you might want to save those up. I started saving those around level 40 something, and since then I've not spent I only spent like once or twice on a gamble, and just to demonstrate some stuff. Like just now, earlier I bought this piece, and since I had crappier one I destroyed it. So I would suggest save those emeralds until you reach at least 105, 608 item power. But if you feel like you really need gear, you really are falling behind on your items, you might try gambling some, but don't overdo it, especially for artifacts. Don't bother that much with artifacts. If you really need something, just focus farming a specific level that drops the specific item you need. For example, I'm farming for a scatter or rapid crossbow because I really like those. So I do run levels that I can handle, that can get me good item power. So you can see the artifact power is decided when doing maps from the map tier and the difficulty. If you go to adventure, on the hardest you can get up to 72, 65 to 72, this one is 59.66. But if I go to Apocalypse, the best items I can get would be 76 to 90, 76 to 89. So this is where things like gambling come into place, where you can get that good stuff from gambling. So once you level up high enough, you should be able to grab those items. The level is just a number. There is no limit to the actual player level, because what you get when leveling up is enchantment points. You can keep getting enchantment points as much as you can. So far no one has confirmed the limit. People on Discord told me that others have already reached 130 plus levels. That leads me to believe there is no limit, and thankfully that means that we can have multiple builds on the same character, because you don't need more than 27 points per item, which is 3 items for 27 points. So in less than 90 points you already max out a build, and then you can start farming for another one, or for alternative armor or weapon or whatever you might want for your current build. So I hope this is clear now. Quickly, let's talk about synergies and combining things to make a build, or what one might consider a build in this game. So there are some obvious choices, like for example, this one can chill the enemies, can slow the enemies. This one can also chill and slow the enemies. So maybe picking freezing on it might be an overkill, but maybe someone might want exactly that overkill. An obvious synergy would be Radiance, that heals the player, 20% chance to spawn a healing area around you that heals you and any ally nearby. And then there's Leeching, that heals you for X% of the monster HP, which means on bosses that's gonna heal more, and on elites compared to trash mobs. So this one heals you on every hit. So combining this and that is amazing. And then there's synergies like potion cooldown decrease on items, like this one. This gives you 40% potion cooldown decrease. So if you combine that one with skills like what's this one? Potion barrier. Whenever you use a healing potion, you take 90% damage reduction for a short time. That means it's great. That means you're gonna be using your potion 40% with a 40% reduced cooldown, and that means you can up to 9 seconds have that 90% damage reduction. Then another good synergy would be artifact based synergies, like for example artifact cooldown 25%, and if you combine that with final shout, which is when your health drops below 25%, all your artifacts are used, regardless whether they're on cooldown or not. Every 8 seconds this can proc when upgraded. Combining this one with artifact cooldown, and with this one when activating any artifact you regain a small amount of HP, it means every up to 8 seconds you can get up to 3 times 5, 15% HP regenerated when you drop below 25% HP. And every time you use your artifact with that 25% reduced cooldown that you can get, you would be regaining 5% HP if you just use one cooldown manually. So that's just a nice synergy. Then there's arrows per bundle and rage damage bonuses if you wanna be like a ranger build. Then there's also, this one gives you a pet, and if you get 3 more pets like a Wama, Golem, wolf, you can have 3 golems or 3 Wamas or 3 wolves, or a mixture of those, together with the bat, together with the weapon damage boost aura, which kind of gives that weapon damage boost to the nearby pets too. And that's pretty nice as well. So there's gonna be some interesting choices, interesting combinations. For example, there's items that give you damage reduction but also damage aura. So if you're using damage reduction, you might want to get this one as well. If you're using fire trio, you might want to have a weapon that gives you fire damage, fire aspect. I think there was something here with it to show you fire aspect. So there's a lot of things to consider. So try to synergize a build. If you're using artifacts like this one, you definitely would want the artifact cooldown reduction. Even summoners might want artifact cooldown reduction. And this one is nice for a summoner build as well. Up to 3 hostile mobs can be turned into allies with 87% boosted damage at 86, so maybe it goes up to like 100 and something percent boosted damage. So hope this is clear about artifacts and enchantments. If anything wasn't made clear, feel free to ask me and just tell me in the comment section what you need information about. I'm gonna do my best to reply regarding that. So another thing I would like to tell you is without spoiling you and showing you any boss fights, I want to let you know that most bosses, in fact all bosses here, have specific mechanics, specific patterns that they use. Sometimes they don't stick to the pattern and do crazy stuff, but most of the times you should be able to learn the pattern, which skills they use and when, and try to adapt to it. Try to adapt, try to like dodge certain attacks and then attack them when they're like charging something and not moving and things like that. So that should be helpful to beginners. So if you can't beat a boss at the first time, maybe try to see what they're doing, get stronger, and then try to pay attention to when there's an opportunity to attack. There's, for example, bosses that summon enemies. There's bosses that have AoE attacks around them or on certain places on the ground that can show up. So there's also sometimes environment you can use to your advantage. So consider those things when doing boss fights. And when it comes to dying, you have up to 3 lives in a map. You can die 3 times and the 4th time you die it's over. So maybe try to preserve those for the end of the map if you know it's a map with a hard boss. Be kind of safe, try to preserve those, but don't worry if you die once, it's not the end of the map, and you're not losing XP, you're not losing emeralds, you're not losing anything other than that one life. So thankfully the developers have been pretty generous to give you 3 lives and a 4th being the final one. And if you use that to your advantage, you might kind of sometimes make a tactical death to pick up a chest, because there's one chest where you get ambushed and there's a system to cheese it on that chest, where for example you run off of the map and you just lose a little bit of HP and respawn, but you don't get attacked by that ambush of enemies. And most of the time, if not every time, it's gonna be a diamond chest or obsidian chest, whatever it's called, the biggest chest you can get. So there's cases like that where even if you die once, if you've saved up your deaths until then, it should be fine, as long as you just pay attention to those. Now let's talk about the missions. You select your missions from here. You probably know it by now, unless you've not played the game. And you can see the missions are split into 3 major categories of difficulty: default, adventure and apocalypse. This is the equivalent to normal, nightmare and hell in Diablo 2, for example. So you start on default, you complete it, you move on to adventure, you complete it, you move on to apocalypse. At any time when you're stuck on a certain map and you just don't have the gear or the enchant points to bless your gear, and you just kind of maybe don't know a good synergy to use, what you can do is keep running whatever map you can do on whatever difficulty you can do. Or maybe pick another map that you can do, that can drop an item you want. For example, if you want daggers, you might want to be running Soggy Swamp, or for example you might want to be running redstone mines, and I don't think there's daggers in another map. Let me quickly check. I don't think there is, yeah. So that's just an example. So once you found an item, you would be able to see where it drops, in which map it drops, so you can kind of prioritize farming that item on that map. There are secret maps like this one, and this one. For this one I've made a video. That's the secret cow level. Mumu, so you might wanna figure out how to do that. This one you find in High Block Hose, this one you find in Soggy Swamp, and this Creepy Crypt you find in Creeper Wood. So you find an item which you can then click on, and that unlocks the map on your big map. So once you're in a mission, what you might want to do is, for example, select anything you want to run. For example, this one, and start the mission. And once you're in the mission, you would be able to see how many secrets and how many chests there are. So you're not gonna be pulling your hairs out, wondering, oh man, are there any more secrets? Did I find anything? If you're a person that cares about how many secrets they have found in a game. So you can press M and you can see secrets found 0 out of 0, chests opened 0 out of 3. And then you just start killing, and until you find what you're looking for, you will be just moving around. And that's perfectly normal, that's what you're expected to do. In some cases, this number would change. I've had cases where chest opened would change. Once I find like a secret chest, it would add one more to this count here. But I don't think the number of secrets changes. So probably finding a secret chest would maybe change the number of chests that you can find, but not the other way around. So let's leave this map. And let's talk more about other things. So as I mentioned, you can focus and farm specific items for specific builds by farming any difficulty that you want the artifact power of, that you can handle, of that item. So you might want to be doing that. Some items that I can tell you are good apparently are the scatter crossbow, the unique one, the harp, and the rapid crossbow, which I got once but accidentally salvaged. I also really like playing with daggers or sickles, and I think when I'm using wife leech and healing, I think another thing that might be nice to try would be gloves, gauntlets. Gauntlets seem to be also a fun thing to try playing with, because they also have fast attack speed. So melee weapons with fast attack speed obviously would give you higher chances of proccing things per second, so you might want to farm those. So I hope this is clear about the missions. Now let's talk a little bit about something else. So regarding gambling, should I gamble now or should I save my emeralds? I already said it, save your emeralds, but if you skipped through to this section and didn't hear me say that you need to save your emeralds, well, I'm gonna say it again. Don't waste your emeralds on artifacts or weapons unless you really need to get something to help you push further. I would suggest save the emeralds until you reach at least 100, 104, 5, 6 item power that you can get from gambling. I'm not sure what level is needed for that, but I'm gonna try and get my level to like 110 or something like that, and then I'm gonna start gambling. Usually you don't get only a single level of item power when gambling, but there's a bracket, and that seems to be determined by the player level or by the progression of your missions. Since I've completed all missions on all difficulties, I think it won't be out of the question if I start getting the max power level items. I'm just gonna give myself some time to get some more levels and then start testing my luck with those. Some people think it's your currently equipped item power that determines it, but I've tested equipping item power 20 items and then unequipping those and equipping item power 60 and 50 and 40 items, and at each time back then I was like level 40 something, 45 maximum I think, and I was getting the exact same amount of item power. And then later on, when I leveled up with the exact same items equipped, I was getting higher level items, which I kind of think is due to just leveling up, getting more enchant points. Something like that is what should be happening. Either this or I was just super unlucky to see the same results. So there's that. Also, another thing I want to talk about when we're talking about emeralds is there's hidden chests throughout the game. You might be able to find one here, and I'm talking about not just in the game but in this camp. You should be able to find, I think, 250 emerald worth of the chests. For a new player that might be nice. So consider exploring this map, consider looking for those chests. They are hidden in different places, which they're one-shot chests, so you can only get them once. If you haven't gotten those, you would really need to kind of go around on this map. I'm just showing you now the route you might want to take. So you might want to go here too. You might want to go this way as well, just to explore every single piece of the map you can explore. So there's also, I think that's it. That's a complete walkthrough of the map. You should also be able maybe to find a chest here, and then there's some more here, but not a chest. This is just a secret one that you can open by using this lever. So some of you that like exploration would love this. And I think that pretty much sums it up when talking about gems, emeralds, and whether you should gamble now or later. Now there's another thing I found myself wishing I knew when I first started playing is preserve your arrows if you're using a weapon that doesn't have that much arrows, and on some levels you won't have that much arrow drops. It's completely RNG, yes, but in some levels I've noticed they didn't balance it well and the enemies don't drop arrows, if barely any. So if you have a very strong bow or crossbow but not that many arrows, save those for elites and boss fights. In fact, when you're reaching the end of a map, try to stop using the arrows even on elite, so that when you're at the boss fight you can have those ready. Some bosses can be cheesed easily by using ranged attacks, others are better killed with melee, but most bosses would be amazing if you have a ranged bow or crossbow, and you maybe have this one or this one as an artifact to help you. This is one of my favorite artifacts to boost the damage of the ranged attacks. And there's a synergy. If your bow or crossbow has at the same time multi-shot and chain reaction, that means that there's a chance for multi-shot and chain reaction to proc when using this explosive. So you're gonna be hitting the enemy, and with the first shot you have a chance to do the multi-shot. Then once the shot hits an enemy, you have a chance to chain react and have like a few projectile shooting in all directions. And then if you on top of that add another layer of a bonus shot, that means there's gonna be another bonus shot auto aiming to a nearby target, and that auto aim shot can also proc chain reaction on itself, and it's just a huge thing if you're using that one. It's definitely a nice thing to consider. So yeah, definitely a good synergy. And if you want a synergy for melee, if you're using fast attack weapons like the sights, like the sickles that I'm using, or a dagger or a gauntlet, so sickle, dagger or gauntlet, you might want to use the mushroom. The mushroom is great and it synergizes amazingly with things like radiance, wife leech, thundering, or other things that can proc on hit, such as for example poison cloud also can proc, and then there's chains, then there's the freezing, there's also other things I wanna there was something amazing that I wanna show you that works well. Of course, crit chance amazingly combined with that, and there's also weakening. Weakening is amazing if you're a tank and you're stacking damage reduction. You might also want to decrease the damage of the enemies, but with attack speed, I'm trying to see that that thing here. Gravity is also nice, stunning is also nice as a synergy, but basically there's a lot of things that go well with such weapons. So you might want to consider using that mushroom. So those kind of are the tips I thought it would be nice to share with others. If you think something was missing from the list, from those things I've mentioned, if you think there's something that's important for new players to know that I might have missed, I would like to know what that is, and maybe when I make, if I make a second part, if there's enough information that needs to be shared additional on top of that one, I can just include it and even give you credit if you want to for providing me with that information. As I said, the game is still new, we're still getting to learn all the stuff, but I think the major things were covered by this video. There's actually a nice example of a boss fight. If you didn't want to spoil yourself, you could just skip that video, that ending here. And Minecraft Dungeons definitely is a fun little nice hack and slash ARPG, so feel free to let me know what weapons are your favorite in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video and want to be notified for when I upload more content like this for this game or other wooters of the hack and slash or shooter wooter variety, you could subscribe to my channel to get those content updates, and you can get notified by clicking on the bell button as well. So hope you enjoyed it. Hope everything was clear. If something wasn't, share your comments, questions, etc. in the section below. Keep it cool, folks. Thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye.